Mualani, Kinich, Raiden, or Kazuha. We have a lot of good reruns in this patch with Kazuha and Raiden. We also have some new interesting characters. In this video, I'm going to be helping you guys choose between them, or at least know which one of them might be the best for your account. So yeah, let's begin. Alright, so first of all, I'm going to do their pros and cons for each one of them. Let's start off with Mualani. So starting off with Mualani's pros, first of all, she's going to be a decent main DPS right now. Now, for the current stage of the game right now, at least for this patch, she wouldn't really be like the best DPS, but she's definitely going to be much better than average in general. So if you're in need of like a character that can just hit hard and deal damage, then Mualani is going to be a very good character to get. The second pro about Mualani, and the most important one in my opinion, is that she has a bright future ahead. What I mean by that is that she's probably going to get better with the release of more characters. I explained it before in her team's video, but in general, she just doesn't have many good teammates right now, especially like Pyro enablers. And obviously we have the Pyro region coming up, so we're going to have many more like good Pyro characters in the future. And we're probably going to have very good pairs with Mualani, and that's going to make her much better. That's probably going to take her from being like an above average DPS to being like one of the best DPSs in the game, if not the best for a while. So yeah, Mualani is definitely and probably going to be a very good investment for your account, like DPS wise, especially in the future. She's probably going to have a very good place in the meta. So those are the pros about Mualani, and this is what you need for a DPS character. They just deal decent damage right now, and you can guarantee they're not going to be power crept anytime soon. It's quite the opposite actually, they're going to get better. Now moving on to her cons, the first and only con about Mualani in my opinion is that she doesn't have very good teammates. She doesn't really have like that perfect team, as I said before, and that's definitely going to limit her potential, at least for right now. In the future, we probably will have more, but for right now, she just doesn't have like perfect Spyro teammates that can enable her to work like fully. Pretty much all of them are going to have some sort of problem with her. So yeah, right now, she's not really at her full potential yet, but in the future, she's probably going to be much more. And even right now, she's still like a pretty good DPS. It's not like she's bad right now. Moving on to the second character we have is going to be Kazuha. It's going to run alongside Mualani. So for Kazuha's pros, it's just Kazuha really. I mean, he's just like a very good support. He can buff you, give you that damage bonus just from his kit. He's an emo, so he can use the 4-piece for Iridescence. He has the group pin stuff, like he can control enemies for crowd control. He can also apply elements off field if you swirl them with his elemental bursts. He's free to play friendly. He doesn't really need like many weapons like that. And even his artifacts are not really that hard to like farm for. And then lastly, he's very flexible. You can use Kazuha in like pretty much any reactions teams really. As long as you can swirl the elements, he's probably going to be a good fit there. Now moving on to Kazuha's cons, I don't really think he has many, except that he's kind of replaceable really, at least in like the current stage of the game. He's not fully replaceable, but if you have someone like Sucrose for example, you can just use her with the Iridescent and stuff like that. And mainly you can get like most of what Kazuha can offer. Obviously you won't get the damage bonus and stuff like that, but in general is not like a necessary character. He's very flexible and usable, but if the only thing you need for a team is like an Anemo that can just use the Iridescent, you can use many other Anemos and they can work fine. Kazuha is definitely the top tier Anemo that you can use anywhere, but he's not like necessary at any teams. That's what I'm trying to get at. There's no team that's like not gonna work except for with Kazuha. So yeah, he's just gonna be kind of replaceable, but he's definitely the better option. It's not really a con, but you know, just trying to let you guys know. Now, moving on to the third character, we have Kinich. Kinich is going to be primarily like a Dendro on-field character, main DPS kind of. And he's mainly going to be played in like burn-in teams, I would say. So starting off with his pros, I would say he's going to be having like decent damage. Again, definitely not top tier damage or anywhere close. But I would say he's also like above average for a main DPS. So it's going to be pretty decent and is going to have decent damage, at least for the teams he has right now. The second pro is that he's probably also going to be in the meta. I mean, we're having the Fire Nation soon, so burn-in in general is probably going to be in the meta, and he's definitely going to be a very good character and driver for burn-in, so I would assume he's going to be in the meta for a while. Now moving on to his cons, I just realized it's pretty much the same thing with Mualani. He just doesn't have many good teammates right now. It's literally the same thing. The only like perfect teammate for him is going to be Emily right now. Other than that, his teams are going to be lacking. Sure, you can use many characters to just like make it work, but for right now he doesn't have many like perfect teams. Again, we're probably going to see more of them in the future, but for right now he's sort of limited and non-flexible. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for his cons, at least for right now. For his job, he works pretty fine. Like a Dendro driver for mainly like reaction based teams is gonna be pretty good. Now, moving on to Raiden Shogun, she also been out for a while, but in general, Raiden Shogun is going to be a super good character. For her pros, she's going to be a very good battery for her team, probably the best battery for any team, really, to be honest. She can generate huge amounts of energy, and she's going to cure your energy problems in pretty much any team as long as you can run her. Second pro is that she's going to be a super good on-field and also off-field electro applier. You can play her on-field as an electro driver, and then also off-field she has her eye thing, so if you need an off-field electro enabler, then Raiden got you. She can also be played as a good filler. For example, if your rotations for a team are not like perfect and you have some downtime, you can always play Raiden, and she's gonna be a very good filler with her elemental burst, and then she's also gonna be regenerating energy for you and stuff like that. As long as the team doesn't mind electro and they have like downtime room for Raiden, she can work at any team. So she's gonna be very flexible too. Obviously not as flexible as like Kazuha, for example, where you can just slap at any team, mainly because of her element, but as long as the team doesn't really mind electro, as I said, and they have like room for her in the rotation, you can just put her at any team and she's gonna be a great energy generator, and then also a great like damage applier too. She has decent damage on her own. Now, moving on to the cons about Raiden, mainly there isn't really many direct cons for her. She's one of the best characters we have in the game, but if I have to nitpick some, I would say first of all, she's gonna be replaceable in some teams, so she's not really like super necessary in a lot of teams. If you need her for like her battery things, then you can probably manage with using like another battery. For example, you can use like Bennett for Sean Link. You know, many characters just have their own batteries, whether it's their own element or it's another character that can generate with Favonius, whatever. But yeah, a lot of teams have like better fit in batteries for them instead of like just like a general filler battery like Raiden Shogun. So she's not like the best battery in every scenario. Also for like off-field electro application, you can use like Fischl, for example, or something like that. So I wouldn't really say she's the necessary character to use on a lot of teams. Even like her teams, she's not like super necessary there. But in general, she's still like a great flex unit. You can just slap her anywhere as long as the team doesn't mind electro, and she's gonna be pretty good, as I said before. Great electro driver, battery, off-field electro applicator, everything. So yeah, she's definitely still a very great character. Alright, so now moving on to the final conclusion, which characters should you wish for? First of all, wish for anyone you like, really. You can clear with literally any of these characters. You have free-to-play characters to clear the content with, so just really go for the character you like. But if we're talking meta-wise, which is what this video is for, then in that case, let me say this. The best meta pick, in my opinion, or like the best value character in general, like in very broad terms, it's probably gonna be Kazuha. Kazuha is gonna be very universal in a lot of teams, and I would think every single account is gonna need him. You're probably gonna encounter building a team, even in the future if you don't right now, that's gonna require Kazuha, or at least that Kazuha is gonna be a great fit in. So getting Kazuha on your account is probably gonna be a very good investment. He's been one of the best characters in the game. He's probably still gonna be one of the best characters in the game for a long period after now. So you'll never regret getting Kazuha on your account. As long as you just get him and build him, he's probably gonna be useful like anywhere. So getting Kazuha is always going to be a very good option. I'd say he's the best value in general. Not knowing anything about your account, not knowing anything about what you need, your teams and stuff like that, just vaguely in general, I'd say Kazuha is going to be the meta pick. Now, for being more like specific, if you need a DPS, a strong DPS, we have two options here, either Mualani or Kinich. I would say Mualani is probably going to be the safer bet. As I said before, she's already a super good DPS, and in the future, she's probably going to be much better. Probably like top 2 or even the best DPS in the game if we ever have a good like pyro enabler in the game for her, which is very likely. So yeah, if you're in need for a main DPS, then getting Mualani is going to be a very, very good investment, and she's probably not going to be power crept anytime soon, and she's going to be dealing good damage for a very long time. So yeah, if your account needs a DPS or a Hydra DPS or whatever, I'd say Mualani is going to be the best option. So yeah, in general, I would say those are like the two categories. A general like good support meta pick, I would pick Kazuha over Raiden, and for a DPS, I would pick Mualani over Kinich. Now Raiden and Kinich, on the other hand, are still like super good characters. I'm not saying they're bad or anything like that. They're definitely not bad. Raiden is gonna be a very good support too, an S tier character in terms of like value for her account. She's also been good, and she's probably still gonna be pretty decent for a while. So Raiden is not like a bad character to get. Same thing with Kinich. He's gonna be dealing decent damage. In the future, he might get even better and stuff like that. So if you really like him and you want to go for a main DPS sort of character, then going for Kinich is not gonna be bad. But in my opinion, Mualani is gonna be the better option. So even though I would say Kazuha and Mualani are going to be the winners for support and DPS for this patch, Raiden and Kinich are still super good characters, so if you need them, then obviously just go for them. Another point I want to mention is that Raiden and Kazuha are going to be reruns. That means we're probably not going to see them for at least a while. Mualani and Kinich are going to be new characters, so they're definitely going to get reruns sooner than Kazuha and Raiden. So if you know you definitely want like Raiden and Kazuha, but you're not sure whether you prioritize them or like Mualani and Kinich, in that case I would say maybe prioritize them because it might be a while before we see them again. With Mualani and Kinich, we probably are going to see them sooner, so yeah, this is a point I wanted to mention. And it also depends on like specific circumstances for your account and teams on what you have already and stuff like that. I'm not going to go through these because they're going to be endless. You have to like look at your account and decide for yourself and look at like their teams and all of that. But for example, if you got Emily, then I would say getting Kinich is going to be like a more appealing option maybe. For example, if you don't have Fischl, just a random thought, then Raiden is probably going to be a very, very good option because you're going to need an Electro Enabler. Stuff like that is very situational. But in general, I would say Kazuha is going to be the better pick in terms of a support. If you need the DPS, Mualani is probably going to be the better pick. So yeah, that's what I think. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, tell me which characters you guys are going for. See you guys in the next video. Peace.